Welcome to Hicks and Dragon here, be dragons. So, today I am going to be reacting to Tyler Oliveira's video on I investigated if the Earth is flat. Now, I have not seen this one, so it's going to be brand new for me. And now, it is a 20-minute video, which if I add a bunch of commentary to it, that's going to take up like 40 minutes, and no one's going to want to watch that shit. So, I also don't want to just flat out steal Tyler's video. It kind of makes me feel like being a dick, even if I am adding in a bunch of commentary. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to go ahead and cut out everything except what the flat earthers are saying. And then, we'll just go ahead and, make fun of them. And most of the stuff that's just Tyler talking and stuff, I am, I'm going to put a link in the description to his entire video, so you can go see all of that should you wish. I implore you to do that. Anyways, that's how it's going to go. So, let's get going here.
I flew to Connecticut to meet up with a man named Flat Earth Dave, who took me into his attic to convert me into a flat earther. How long have you been a flat
Who would have guessed?
Around 2014, I was doing a podcast about conspiracy theories, and people started sending me flat earth stuff, and I was like, oh, that's ridiculous. I have an open mind, but not to that. And then finally, another researcher who I respect very much said, Dave, you got to look at this. And she sent me a couple videos, and I started watching them with the idea just to disprove it.
Okay.
The flat earth is stupid, right? We all know.
So you were a round earther.
We were all globe earthers.
Got it.
All of us. Because we've been indoctrinated since before preschool.
To first understand the flat earth, I would have to throw away the idea of a globe and relearn an entirely new model for how the planet works.
The world ocean, think of it as a giant lake with all of the continents as islands.
I can roll with this
The
analogy.
shoreline of our world is Antarctica. The foundation of Antarctica is higher than any other continent. So people go, why can't you fall off the edge of the flat earth? Because if you're on a lake, right, and you sail to the edge of the lake, can you fall off the lake? No, you step up onto the land. We're not allowed to go beyond 60 degrees south. That pink line, the Antarctic Treaty doesn't allow anyone to independently explore beyond that. Now, you can spend $10, $20, $50,000 to go to Antarctica for a couple of days. They'll take you to the little peninsula off the tip of Santiago, off of South America. Now, that peninsula is bigger than many countries. And they'll show you some ice and some penguins, but no one's independently allowed to explore beyond it. What's beyond it? I don't know. Early 1900s, they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica. What about this?
Whoa.
This makes sense. What if we lived here?
All right. I have been to Antarctica. I went back in, I think, 2002, and I volunteered actually as a cook on icebreaker, and went to Antarctica for about 2 weeks. It was pretty cool. Went into McMurdo and stuff, and then went down to, the South Pole. Not the one that's off in the ocean, but, the one that's, right in the bottom of the planet. Yeah, there is no big ice wall or anything. It's all real. Now, the Antarctic Treaty specifically states that no military activity can take place. And it says nothing about people not being allowed to go there. What it says is that if you're a country that is part of the treaty, you have to let all the other people know before you go. Let them know what you're going to be up to and stuff. Now, this little peninsula and stuff he's talking about, I think he's talking about McMurdo. I have to look at the maps again. It's been a while since I've been down there. But that's part of America, okay? Everyone's got, all the signatories to the treaty have like a section of Antarctica. Now, most of the paid, like little, what's the word I'm looking for? Cruises. Most of the paid cruises down to Antarctica are with the Russians. Most of the expeditions and stuff are with the Russians. It's actually very hard to get onto an American expedition for some reason without a lot of experience. So, the Russians are not going to take you over to an American portion of Antarctica. It's just not going to happen. They have their own section. Okay? And they don't just take you to a peninsula. Normally, you go to the peninsula. Now, this is if you're just a tourist, okay? And then you can hop on a helicopter and go down to the South Pole. And South Pole is actually pretty cool because the compass doesn't work right there. What happens is it actually pulls the needle down so much that the needle drags across like the bottom of the compass, and it just doesn't work. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, you can't go there. Now, if you go with an expedition, you can, depending on where you're going, you can trek pretty far deep into Antarctica. Now, anyone can go, okay? These couple flat earthers can get together and head down to Antarctica. That's not to say that someone like the Coast Guard isn't going to try and stop them. Okay, the Coast Guard has to try to keep you alive, safe, and make sure you're not a hazard for other people. Couple, flat earthers who are obviously idiots and going to get themselves killed because they will believe that the Earth is flat and are now heading to Antarctica are probably going to get stopped because they're probably heading down there with some pants and just a little like ski jacket and stuff, which they're going to die pretty quickly. And I mean, that's the Coast Guard's mission. Look at the guy that keeps trying to run across the ocean in that big gerbil ball. I mean, this last time they had to actually blow up his like gerbil ball. He keeps trying and they keep stopping him. There's nothing illegal about running across the ocean, but when his gerbil ball is a hazard to other vessels, and he's a hazard to himself, he's going to get himself killed. Same thing goes to a couple idiots trying to go through and run through Antarctica. Now, should you find yourself a guide or someone that is familiar with cold weather, and should you get the right supplies and stuff, you're going to have no issue. You can head down there and go. You should probably let other countries know, that you're going to be down there. But yeah, off you go. Now, it's going to be really hard to survive. You're going to really need a lot of money too. But you can do it. There's nothing that says you cannot do it. In fact, the treaty specifically states that, there is no military activity. In fact, at the end of the video, we're going to look at the treaty and read the treaty. Anyways, that took a lot longer than I expected. This is even more hilarious. This, you can tell that Flat Earth Dave has just lost his brain. So he's trying to say that each one of these is another flat Earth. Like, it's a big flat Earth with a bunch of flat Earths inside of it. And we're in one of these. How did he ever find out? If the military prevents you from going, if you can't get near the ice wall, you can't see the firmament, okay? And you can't even get anywhere near any of these other land masses because those are really, really far away. How did Flat Earth Dave figure this out? How did he figure out there's a firmament? How did he figure out about the ice wall? And how did he figure out about all of these things? I mean, he's... do I have to say any more? Do I really have to say any more? I am serious who came up with this crap and how people are actually buying into it. I mean, this is worse than thinking Harry Potter is factual.
What if this is where we lived? Right there. These are other ponds with their own suns.
Did we live in a tiny pond that is Earth as we know it, trapped by the Antarctic walls and NASA soldiers? Maybe.
So you legitimately think if I take some time and the viewers take time to look into all the information you provided,
100%.
we will come to the same conclusion?
1,000%. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. because all the questions you're going to come up with, what about gravity? What about satellite?
So a couple of flat earthers have done this, and when people inevitably do bring the proof, they just claim that, no, that's not valid, that's CGI, that's not real, I'm not going to accept that. And there was actually a court case where a flat earther offered a prize, and the person brought the proof, and the flat earther said, nope, I don't accept it. And so it went to court. In fact, here it is. And if you want me to dig deep into this case, I will do another video on it. It's actually kind of neat. But guess what? The flat earther won. So this is pretty common. And just because someone offered a contest to prove, that means nothing. If they aren't going to accept anything that's, given to them, then it's useless. It's just a way of trying to say, haha, they can't find the proof, even though there's tons of proof given to them.
What is that?
But just talking about gravity, so supposedly at the very, very perfect center, there's a molecule that says, I am the center, everything come to me.
And it's because it has higher mass or it's heavier?
I don't know, man, right? And neither do the scientists that claim it. They said there's not enough gravity to hold all of the solar system together.
Okay.
So they go, well, there has to be dark matter and dark energy, because if there isn't, then gravity's a lie. When you have a scientific theory and you have 96% of it's wrong, you probably throw out the theory, but in cosmology, they go, no, we'll just make up something to fill in that 96%. But
Oh, man. That right there proves that Dave knows nothing about science. First of all, that's not how gravity works. No. Gravity is basically just mass warping space-time around it, causing other objects to kind of dip in. Just like, he showed the video of, the blanket and dropping the balls and they go spinning around on it. That's how gravity works. Now, space-time is really just a mathematical concept that we use, and, to show space and time warping and stuff. It's not like actual fabric. But anyways, we know how it works. And now, we aren't talking about not enough gravity. It's that what's going on that he's trying to talk about, but he doesn't understand at all, is that we have matter and we have antimatter, okay? Now, there's equal parts of it. So the universe should have just obliterated itself, because when matter and antimatter meet, they go gone. They're gone. But most of the antimatter is gone. It's missing, which makes zero sense. That's what they're talking about. It's got nothing to do with not enough gravity out there or anything. Gravity isn't this thing. It's more of like an effect caused by mass. It's not, it's not this magical thing that no one knows about. And a theory, if your theory is 96% wrong, it's not a theory. A theory in science is not a theory like we normally talk about. A theory in science is it's extremely well proven, documented. It's right up there with the law. It's not like, oh, I have this concept. It's, I had a concept, and then I tested, and, I did research, I wrote the paper, it got peer-reviewed. Other people tried to prove me a liar. No one could. So now we have a theory. So right there just tells you how little he knows about science. He's just, he's just making this crap up. And I would think that over the years he's been doing this, he would have, picked up on how science actually works. But no. This is how much you know that he just does not listen to anything people are saying to him. He doesn't listen. He just runs and talks with what he's saying and somehow shuts off all incoming info.
About $100 from you, and I gave you $4. I go, we're even, and you're like, no, where's the other 96? I'm like, well, there's dark dollars. Dark dollars. Are you good with that? Because I understand that gravity is complete and total nonsense.
That's a bold claim, though, right, for the average person. Ships and the horizon. The horizon is the line at which the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet.
So when somebody sees a ship appear to go over the horizon, they go, oh, that's Earth curved. But if the Earth was curved, there would be a set distance that it would have to disappear. What do I mean by that? The Earth is 24,901 miles around. According to globe math, the drop is 6 feet at just 3 miles. So if you're a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of perfectly calm water on a perfectly clear day, you should not be able to see the surface of that water beyond 3 miles, because it's dipping over your physical horizon at 3 miles away. But we have pictures where we can zoom in, we can see an oil rig at 17 miles away, whatever. We see many things, but we can see the surface of the water beyond the oil rig. When the water is at complete and total rest, it's perfectly measurably, testably, provable.
Now, no, this all depends on how high up you are, and you've got reflectivity off, the water, off the atmosphere and stuff. A lot of the times when they're saying, look, I can see all the water behind it, that's not the water they're seeing. They're seeing a mirage from all the water vapor coming off. Now, yeah, stuff will start to look like it's going over, and then you can zoom in on it because it's getting really far away from you. But when you zoom in, you know what you never see? The bottom half of it. Okay, a portion of it's going to go over, and you aren't going to be able to see that. Okay, it's getting further away, so you can't see the entire thing. And if you zoom in, you are going to be able to see part of the ship. But the part that has gone over the horizon, you're not going to get that. In fact, there's a bunch of pictures that really demonstrate that. So,
unbelievably flat. We can watch a ship go over the horizon, and it looks like it disappears. Yeah. But in reality, we can zoom back in and bring those ships back into view after they completely appeared to disappear. Things disappear because of the angular resolution limits of our eyes.
Interesting.
Because when you're in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, perfectly clear water, you got your goggles on, you go at one end of the pool, you can't see the other end of the pool. Why? The water's perfectly clear. Because it's not perfectly clear. It becomes more opaque over distance. The air is the same thing. Why is it that I can go out at night, take a picture of the stars, and then every year on the same night, forever, I can go out and take the exact same pictures and none of the stars have changed? When we're moving 4.5 billion miles a year, they tell us.
It's because the stars are moving with us. We're all kind of moving together, in motion together. You know, I mean, here's a star, I'm the Earth. You know, we kind of we're all kind of dancing together. Okay, that's how it kind of all moves, and then there's everything kind of moves with us. Now, there's some stuff like, you know, the North Star and stuff, which is far away and it doesn't really move that much. So it looks like it's standing still, but it's not. You know, if you actually look, you've got a small amount of movement in there. But, you know, we're all moving through space together. Space is expanding. Everything's moving sort of in these clumps of groups together. And it's, we know that's happening. So this is just purely idiotic. I mean, so if I can see the stars and everything out there and the Earth is flat, why can't I step outside, like go down, say, to the coast, okay? I live in California, so why can't I step outside and look at China? Why can't I get out like a, you know, big binoculars or a telescope and look at China? You know, I mean, if I can see the stars from millions away, I should be able to see the lights of Beijing, you know, from the beach here in San Francisco. Yet I can't. Now, on an actual flat Earth, what it would look like is everywhere you look around you, it would just be this gray, like, kind of mass everywhere. Because you would be able to see extremely far. And everything in between you and, well, off to infinity, trees, mountains, clouds, fog banks, etc., are all going to start combining into this big just glob. So you're just, everywhere you look, you're going to see stuff close by, and then instead of a horizon, you're just going to have this big, like, gray mass all around you. That's what a flat Earth would look like.
That the Earth wobbles, right? We move 1 degree every 76 years. In the Great Pyramid of Giza, there's also a shaft that points at Polaris. And we're like, hold on, with that wobble, how's it pointing at Polaris? You know what the mainstream argument is? Well, there used to be a different North Star 2,000 years ago. We just happen to live in the time where it's pointing towards this other star.
I see.
What happens when you open a pressurized can of soda? You open it, what do you hear? What's going on there?
Carbon dioxide's exiting the can?
Well, the gas that's higher pressure than the outside air is equalizing instantly.
Sure.
So you open it, so they try to equalize. So the heliocentric model says, we live on a ball surrounded by water, surrounded by air, adjacent to a void, a vacuum of space, to the lowest pressure possible. Why doesn't the air all fly up? And the only answer you can come up with is, well, gravity's holding it down. What about high up in the sky, where gravity's supposed to be less? How come it's not sucking all the air up? Gas violently fills the available space. But for some reason...
So how do we...
So high up, gravity is not less. When you're in orbit, so when astronauts are in orbit on the space station, they weigh pretty much the exact same as what they weigh on Earth. I think it's like 99% of the gravity. So the only reason they're feeling microgravity is because they're literally in free fall as they are falling around the Earth and they keep missing. Should they just stop the space station, they would instantly fall to the ground. Boom. And be their entire full weight as they plummeted back towards Earth. It's being flung around the planet and just, missing the Earth over and over and over. That's think of that same thing. If you're in an elevator and you go in free fall, you're going to lift up and you're going to kind of float inside of the elevator, and you're going to think you're floating, but you're falling. That's exactly what's happening in the space stations. Now, look at this. See, those are big things of gas that, due to gravity, are all pulling in on each other, forming these big clouds. So when you add in the gravity of all of the gas pulling in along with the gravity of the Earth, which is quite significant, even though it's actually pretty weak also, it pulls and holds all this together. Now, what happens? We have heavier, thicker atmosphere closer, and then as it goes out, it does start to thin out. And the Earth does lose some of its atmosphere all the time. But that's how it works. Okay, there's no magical sphere around the planet. That's even more idiotic. Who would have built it? Why would they have built it? Where did the people that built it come from? Who made them? We know how the Earth formed. We know how the moon came to be. It's, these guys can't provide any evidence other than, well, look at this idea. But as far as any actual evidence, nothing. Just because something makes sense doesn't mean it is real.
Of a vacuum in space.
Exactly.
What do you have to say to the photographs, satellite images that have been provided to us?
Satellite images. So what satellite images? Here's the blue marble that was on everyone's iPhone, and if you look at the clouds, it made them Photoshop. Right? And the guy that made this, his name is Robert Simon. He's a digital artist for NASA. He said he made it in Photoshop. 2012 image, 2002 image. Look at the United States. How did it get so much bigger? Here's a 1978 picture and a 2017 picture. Right? But what's wrong with that picture? All the clouds are the same. So from 20.
So just because someone faked an Earth, made an Earth in Photoshop at some point, all the images must be fake? That's like saying that just because someone made a CGI kangaroo in that one movie, that kangaroos must not exist. They're all CGI. It makes no sense.
1978 to 2017, the clouds never changed? Identical.
Oh, I see the circled one. Yeah, you're right. Why don't we have a photo of Antarctica?
Yeah, here's the other thing. You can walk outside, okay? You can grab an app and take that app in your telescope and look up, and you can actually see satellites and the space station zip overhead. If you go and get a little CB radio, and you get yourself a ham radio license, you can get your little antenna, walk out there, and watch this little light come by, stick it up, and actually talk to the astronauts on the space station as you follow them over, the sky with your antenna. That's quite a bit more evidence that, yes, it's real and they are really up there. There is no firmament blocking them other than someone made a CGI Earth, so all images of the Earth must be fake. This just goes along with the same logic of that guy at the Flat Earth conference that said, well, astronauts' helmets have curved glass, so that makes the Earth look curved. And yes, that really happened.
Antarctica.
Exactly. And if you look at Antarctica from space,
it's always clouds?
It's not clouds, it's cartoons. They don't even have images.
Whoa.
No.
Other planets are spherical. So if this is that, then that must be this.
Have you ever looked up in the sky and seen Jupiter?
I've never even seen a planet in the sky, I'll be honest.
Okay, well, you have. You just didn't even notice it.
Okay.
Because they look like a bright star. Disney and NASA that work together want you to believe in other planets and other worlds, okay? We can zoom in on stars and planets, and they're pulsing orbs of energy. What are they? Love to know. I don't know. Your head is the sun, and it's holding on to the Earth, and it's pulling it, it's letting it go fall around you, okay? Right? But I got a moon here, and this moon is going around the Earth. When it comes towards the sun, shouldn't the sun kind of pull it a little bit? And when it comes around away from the sun, shouldn't it be slowed down a little bit?
But the laws of inertia, right, would argue that it's stuck in this elliptical.
You're making up things.
So, you know how we have a tide? You know how there's actually two tides? Okay? One tide is, from the moon pulling. The other side is from the sun pulling. Right? They do both pull. And as far as other things, we have these things called Lagrange points, such as, where we've parked the James Webb Space Telescope and stuff, which are areas in between, like the Earth and the sun, and the Earth and the moon and the sun, where they're pulling, dead in the middle is a point where you can actually just stick something and it will stay right there. So we know that gravity is working and pulling on these things. As far as these big globular planets that we can't see, he's talking about when they take their Nikon camera and point it up in the sky, and they get this weird watery wobble thing because they haven't focused their lens. That's what he's talking about. No, the James Webb has even recently actually imaged the atmosphere of exoplanets in another galaxy and actually found things like methane and stuff in the atmospheres. So we know that there are tons of planets out there. Where he's just making this crap up is what he's doing. I mean, you can tell this guy has never watched like a single actual documentary on astrophysics or read anything that was not flat Earth related. It's just sad by just how stupid he is.
Because you're trying to defend your position, which we all.
Well,
know.
I mean,
the Globers will say that the gravity of the Earth negates the gravity of the Sun. So the Sun can hold on to the Earth, can hold on to Pluto, but it can't affect the Moon. You know who is in charge of all international flights? NASA.
Okay, so that's not what's happening. So, okay, the Sun is pulling on the Earth, but the Earth is going around the Sun. As it's going around the Sun, it wants to fly off, but due to gravity, it is stuck right there in that orbit. That's how an orbit works. If you speed up in orbit, okay, so when you're going around the Earth in orbit, if you speed up, what happens is you start to get further away because you're now increasing your speed and you're starting to break away from gravity a little bit more and a little bit more. The same thing would happen with the Earth. The Earth is in that orbit because its speed is pulling it away and it's equalizing out with the gravity that's pulling it in towards the Sun. It's it's basic, just freaking physics. It's very, very basic physics that everyone should know from just high school physics class.
Whoa.
NASA's in charge of
Actually?
and they run GPS.
Not a commercial plane has flown over Antarctica?
No, none, ever.
Whoa.
Yeah, they have.
Because you can't fly over Antarctica. Look at the Earth. They'll come over Antarctica, and then they'll just come back. But there's so many pilots now that have spoken out. Military.
There actually used to be a regular flight, I think to New Zealand or something, from South America, where they did go right over Antarctica. And in fact, 74 Gear, the YouTube channel of a 747 pilot, has on multiple occasions offered to fly flat earthers in the 747 over Antarctica. Have any of them taken him up? Nope. Now, they could also, go ahead and get a ride from Blue Origin, or Virgin. Now, if a flat earther said, hey, I want to go to space and see if the Earth is really flat or not, I am almost positive they could raise the funds needed. People would absolutely donate to see a flat earther go up into space and go, whoa, no, it's not flat. But none of them will. They won't even try it because they know that they're just going to be, turned into a laughingstock. That or, it shouldn't happen. They're going to try and say, oh, well, the windows were CGI, and, you know how it would go.
And commercial pilots.
A little bit too much for my brain.
This one's going to send you over the edge.
All right.
Okay?
No pun intended.
Over the edge. Southern flights prove that the Earth is not a ball. This is the World Cup soccer.
Oh.
Okay? They were in Doha. They wanted to go back to Buenos Aires. They went to Rome to refuel, and then they went back there. Why didn't they just go here? Because if they did, there's no place to refuel out here. On a flat Earth, Doha, Rome, Buenos Aires. Taiwan to Los Angeles. They had an emergency right about here. Well, where would you land? Well, you could go to Hawaii. You might as well go to Los Angeles. Instead, they went all the way to Alaska. Okay?
Flat Earth.
Right? Flat Earth, Taiwan, Alaska, Los Angeles.
Ooh.
Okay. So here's an emergency. They were going from New York to Hawaii, right about here, and they said we have to land. So they went to Seattle, which is like 1,000 miles out of the way. They got there in record time. New York.
So it's not always out of the way. You have air currents, like the jet stream up there, helping to push you along and stuff. So if you get enough air behind you, you're going to keep going a lot quicker. You also have the curvature to think about. So there's a lot more factors than just the distance on a 2D, version of a 3D globe. You can't just use that to figure things out. This is why when you look at, a flat image and you see the lines kind of making a curve, because that's compensating for the curvature of the Earth. There's a lot more that goes into it. So a guy that's not even a pilot shouldn't be trying to use proof of aircraft to, show that the Earth is flat. It doesn't. It doesn't work at all.
Seattle, Hawaii. Yeah.
Who's directing the airlines to construct these flight pathways?
NASA. So here's the thing. NASA isn't a space agency. NASA is the World Intelligence Agency. Everyone reports to them. FBI, CIA, KGB, CCP. Well, why would they lie about the shape of the Earth? What difference does it make? NASA was created right after Project High Jump when Admiral Byrd flew out in Antarctica. On the other side of the South Pole, he found land bigger than the United States, filled with resources. Look at that. From Middle America, he would be in where South Africa is or where Australia is. And another continent the size of the United States and no one has ever seen or set foot upon? What does that mean? What if he went from Middle America over what they call Antarctica and then found another continent out here?
And that would destroy our whole worldview of reality.
Now, what if there's other civilizations here?
What if? So what? Okay, science works on evidence. Okay, actual physical evidence that you can test and retest, that you can see and hold, observe. It's not, maybe there's this thing out there, maybe there's all these other continents out there. That's not how things work. You can't prove it either way. And the burden of the proof doesn't fall on the people saying you're an idiot. The burden of proof falls on you, the idiot, to provide the evidence and the proof that this weird stuff is out there. Oh, dear. Anyways, I'm going to stop it here. That was the 8 out of 8. So, and this video is getting quite long. And I will actually look at the rest of the video and see if there is anything else worthwhile in here. I think the rest of this is just Tyler going to a Flat Earth convention, which, you know what? Yeah, I am going to stop it here. And I'm going to let you guys just go ahead and watch the rest of this all in the convention, which is all Tyler's footage, without Flat Earthers really speaking much. It doesn't look like. I think they're all just random comments. But, yeah. So, go ahead and watch the rest of it. And, have some fun. So, also, I'm going to pull up that court case here really quickly. And then we're going to take a look at the Antarctic Treaty real quick. All right, so here is the court case. It is William Meek Thompson v. Zen Garcia. And it goes on to say, Mr. Zen Garcia ran an online contest that I won to produce 2 proofs that the Earth is a rotating spheroid. I met all the criteria to win the contest, and he did not pay. And now the Flat Earther did win. And Flat Earthers try to use this to say that the courts decided that the Earth is indeed flat, which is not the case. I will dig more into this, but I'm pretty sure I know what happened. And I'm pretty sure it's just going to be due to no actual contract or anything stating, exactly what has to be done and stuff. That's what I think from skimming through it. But if you want to see actually what happened here, let me know, and I will dig into it. And I will put a link down in the description to this court document. Now, let us look at the Antarctic Treaty. This is the original treaty. It hasn't changed. It says, since 1959 here. And we come down to the articles. Article 1. Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only. There shall be prohibited inter alia any measures of a military nature, such as the establishment of military bases and fortifications, the carrying out of military maneuvers, as well as the testing of any type of weapons. The present treaty shall not prevent the use of military personnel or equipment for scientific research or for any other peaceful purpose. Freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica and cooperation toward that end as applied during the International Geophysical Year shall continue subject to the provisions of the present treaty. Article 3. In order to promote international cooperation in scientific investigation in Antarctica as provided for in Article 2 of the present treaty, the contracting parties agree that to the greatest extent feasible and practicable, information regarding plans for scientific programs in Antarctica shall be exchanged to permit maximum economy and efficiency of operations. Scientific personnel shall be exchanged in Antarctica between expeditions and stations. Scientific observations and results from Antarctica shall be exchanged and made freely available. All right, there is nothing in here that states you can't go to Antarctica. Absolutely nothing. The treaty says nothing about not being able to go. All right, and I will put a link to the treaty in the description also, should you want to read it. It is in several different languages. Anyways, have a great day.